Okay, everybody, welcome. Our purpose today is to show you this cool new feature on the Soundboard, which is newsletter creation and how to manage your contacts. So I'm going to take this in 3 different steps. First step we're going to take a look at is how to get your contacts into the Soundboard so that you can build up email lists. The second part I'm going to show you is how to get those contacts off of your virtual office, because my understanding is that there is no nice export feature on the virtual office, and I'm still waiting on the final verdict on that because I don't have access to the virtual office, but I'm 95% sure that's accurate. And then the third step is we'll create a newsletter and send it out, okay? So you may have discovered this already. In this feature, we're logged into the Soundboard here. If you click on the top right, you're going to find this newsletters button and the contact lists button. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the contact lists. You can click around on the newsletters if you want, but if you don't have any contacts to send it to, it will only let you go so far. So that's why we're going to start here. And you see I've already got a couple of example lists set up, but when you get to this is where you're going to, it says keep track of your customers and prospects, and then you're going to add a list. So you can treat this in 2 different ways. One is you can group your customers by topic almost. So if you have, for instance, I've done a few examples here, a busy mom's customer group and some vegan folks. The reason that you might want to think about doing it like this is if you want to create different newsletters for different groups of people, if by topic, okay? So you can decide if you want to do that. Or you can just put all of your customers into one list and all of your maybe pre-customers or team into another list and manage it like that. Or if you just want to do it all at once, you decide. But this is how you'll manage those lists. So to start one, obviously we're going to hit the add list button, and this is where we're going to name the list. Okay, so I'm going to name this list. These are my CrossFit customers. So these are my super active customers. If you want to put a description in, you can. You do not have to, but we'll say these are active customers who are workout enthusiasts, just to keep everything nice and clear. So we create. So now we've named this list and created it, but now we've got to get some contacts in, okay? So I'll make up a contact here. There's 2 ways to get them in. One is if you've just got a few, you can add them a few at a time. So I'm going to make up an email address here for myself. And then my name, of course. All right, so that is the 1 way at a time to do it. But as we all know, that's pretty tedious unless you just have a few folks that you're trying to get the word out to. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, I think, the best way to get these things to your contact list en masse without too much trouble. Okay, but this is, there are a few steps involved since, again, there is no nice export button on the virtual office. So the second thing we have here is the import feature, and it says import from CSV. So a CSV is just a spreadsheet. Microsoft Excel can generate a CSV, Google Docs can generate a CSV, and Numbers, if you're a Mac person, can generate CSV. So all that is instead of a .xls file for an Excel spreadsheet, it's a .csv, but it functions exactly the same. And then it says the importer will read an optional header row and looks for columns named email and name. Okay, and then it says if the header row is not present, it assumes that the first column is email and the second column is name, if it's there. All right, so we're going to leave this sitting here, and I'm going to go open up a Google Doc folder, okay, because I like Google Docs. I think they're easy to use. All we want is a spreadsheet here, okay? So however you get to your spreadsheet manager, we want a blank spreadsheet. Now the second thing to do, and I'm gonna use a different example again because I don't have virtual office. but I'm going to go to a test soundboard that I have. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to highlight text on the screen, and we're going to copy and paste it into our spreadsheet, okay? So I'm going to go to my soundboard management, and I'm going to go to, is this the one I want? I'm going to go to this one, and I'm going to pull up my users. So let's just say we're on our virtual office, okay? And you see we've got names and email addresses here that we want to import. You know what, I'm going to go find the one that has a few more than this, because I want to show you on how, a little bit more examples of, well, I'm sorry, it disappeared on me. No, here we go. This is the one I was thinking of. All right, so we've got, same thing. We're looking at name, email addresses, and then we actually have some extra information that we don't necessarily need. But I have all these test emails set up, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and just highlight, literally drag my cursor over this information on my screen here. And then I'm going to copy it. So on Windows, that's Control-C. On Mac, that's Command-C. So I'll just press that. And we're going to come back to the spreadsheet, and we're going to paste it, which on Mac is Command-V, and on Windows is Control-V. Okay, now you see we've got these columns that we like. We've got a column of name, and we've got a column of email. Now, we don't need any of this other stuff. In your virtual office, it might give you stuff that you don't need. So we're just going to highlight it, delete it. Let's go ahead and just clear these cells. Let's delete these columns because we don't need them. So now we have our name and our email address. All right, and let's make that be at the top. So we have everything we need now to get this into a CSV format. So let's name this our mail contacts. And I'm a nerd, so I always like to date things. Today's the 25th. So we're going to date this one 7/25/17. Okay? So now we've taken the text from the screen by literally just copying and pasting it into a spreadsheet. And now we're ready to export this to a CSV file. Okay? So on Google Docs, that can be found here. And we're going to download this, and you see all these options that we have. So this is the typical Microsoft Excel format, which, you know, if you do anything with contacts, you're probably familiar with. Then down here, we've got the .csv, which is the simplest spreadsheet format that there is. So we're going to, oops, I think I hit the wrong one. We're going to make sure we have this as a CSV. All right, and now we're going to come over here to our contact importer. And we're going to import. And we're going to go to downloads where it landed, and there is our CSV. And it's going to take a few seconds, but then boom, it's all here. Okay, all of our contacts have just been imported. I know that's a little bit wonky of a thing to do, but I think that that's the simplest way to get those contacts out of your virtual office without having that, you know, one-click feature. Now, if you keep all your contacts managed up in you know, Google Contacts or iCloud or something, then you can export those with one button to a CSV, which you then import here. But this is the best workaround that I've seen. So I know there's several steps there, but Guy, do you have any questions or thoughts on that? Just, I know that's not the most seamless thing in the world, but
no, all good.
Okay, cool. All right, so now that we've got our contact list built, we've named it CrossFit Customers, we're ready to create a newsletter to send to these people. So we're going to come back up here to our newsletter feature. All right, and I've already got some samples going, but we want to create a new one. So when we hit create new, the first thing that it's going to bring up is our contact list that we want to send it to. So we've created our new one, our CrossFit customers. So let's send that to those folks. And then who do you want it to come from? Oh, this is the name, so we want it to come from me. And then what's the email address that we want this to come from? Okay, so this is not going to seem like, you know, this big mass corporate email to your customers. It's going to come as a personal email from you, so you shouldn't have any trouble with it hitting any spam folders or anything like that. And then the final required field is, how do we want this to be titled? So I'm going to name this Nutrition News for the Athlete, because this is going to our CrossFit people. Now we've got a couple of things here that are optional if you want to. We've got a space for your logo. Okay, if you want to either drop in a Juice Plus logo, or if you've got a team logo or something like that that you'd want to drop in, you can do that one of two ways. You can either put in the web address where you've got your logo hosted, or you can literally just drag and drop the file. Okay, the easiest way to do this, I think, is just to go Google Juice Plus logo, and you know, you can go to images here on Google, and any and all of these are available for download. I kind of like this colorful one. So you're just going to save image as, and that'll drop it in our downloads folder. Let's call this the JP logo. All right, so there it is. And then we come back over here and we want to browse for this file. And it's right there where we just downloaded it. And we can upload. Okay, so there it is. Now we've got two more fields here. You've got a place where you can put two different groups of personalized text. So this will become more apparent after we create the email. But this is where you can put a personal message that's going to land on the layout above the articles that you pick. And then this is the field where you can put your personalized text that's going to land below the articles. So we can say something to the effect of, hope you get a lot of great info from these articles on how to be healthy and active. And we'll say in our kind of parting comments, don't forget that the next Shred 10 starts August 7th. Okay, so now we're going to create this, and it's going to bring us to our kind of breadcrumb trail where we can hop back and forth between our three steps. So again, who we're sending it to, where is it coming from, our title, our image, and then our body of text is all ready to go. So let's do save and continue. And then this is where you pick the articles that you want to add to your newsletter, okay? So of course you can do some search here. If there's something that you want to preview, just click on this and it'll bring up the whole thing as a preview. So this is an interesting article about all the horrible things that energy drinks do to your body. So we can throw that one in. This one was a good article about avoiding comparisons to others to get the most out of your training. So you can, of course, go through and just keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, or again, you can search for stuff by topic. Here's a complete shake smoothie recipe. Too much sitting is bad for your health. So anyway, I'm just going to throw in a few more just as an example here to show you, even though this is not specifically for our athletes. We're just going to get a few loaded up for the articles. For the layout. Now, of course, if you want to remove any of them at any point, you can just click here. So now we want to preview and send this. So once you get to the preview window, you'll see a couple of things. First is, here's our logo, here's our title, here's our opening statement, And then we've got a couple of different themes that you can pick from. Okay, the first one says Picasso full size. What that does is it puts each article and image. Keep in mind, this is not the best image that I've ever seen, but that's what the article picked, so it's hard to get around that. But it'll make each one of these articles full size. And when your recipient receives this, of course, they can hit this button at any point and be taken directly to the article if they want to read more. All right, so here's the layout with everything blown up to full size. Here's the final parting text, and you can, of course, put a signature in there if you want. Now, we've got another layout here that is 2-column, and what the 2-column layout does is it's going to make the first article big, and then it puts all the rest of the articles side by side a little bit smaller. At the moment, we do not have a way to drag and drop reordering. But if you wanted to, if you don't like the image here, then you just come back to articles and we'd remove this one from the top, and then you can always add it back to the bottom if you want them to get it, but not have it be the top one. Okay, so you can see it brings it back to the bottom here. And then let's go back to our preview. So on the 2-column, now we've got something that's a little bit better looking for the top. All right, so we've got these two columns. And since we did an odd number of articles, it finished up with the bottom 2 being in the column. If we did an even number and we had one more article, it would make it nice and big here at the bottom again to close it out. The third theme that you have to pick from is called featured and then small. And so again, it'll make that top article nice and big. And then it'll do 3 where it'll bounce the image back to back, left and right, back and forth. And then it turns the rest of the articles into text-only links. Okay, so if you have more than 3 or 4, this may be a good option, especially if you're sending it to people and they're primarily going to be reading it on mobile. So whatever you choose, when you're ready, if you would like to, you can send a test, and that will go to whoever you want. Or you can just send it to the email list that you've got set. Okay, so when we hit this box is going to pop up, which is going to remind us who is it going to, who's it coming from, which email address, and then this is the subject line. If you would like to change it at this point, you can, and then here's all the articles. So now when we hit send, this is going to go out. Now, I'm going to double check here on my contact list. I think I had my CTO. I'm going to make sure that my CTO doesn't get all these emails. He would not be that pleased with me if I sent him 6 copies of the same thing. All right, so now let's do this. And so you can see we've got several in draft state. So we can go back to our draft nutrition news for the athlete. Okay, and we're at the preview and send stage. So we've got it set up in this format, ready to go. So now we're going to hit send, and we're ready for this to go out. Now, once you've sent the email, we're going to help you keep track of your opening percentage rate, your click percentage rate, which means how many people obviously opened the thing at all, and then how many people clicked through to read the articles and get taken to those other websites. And then this is if you have a bad email address in your batch. Now, we're working on some more analytics that are to come, but for now, this will at least give you a sense of the interest that's generated by the email. And then you can always take a look at what it looks like down here. And then once you have several newsletters go out, then all of these are my drafts, but these are ones that have published and sent out. And you can check on any one of them at that point and get that same data set here. And I've sent all of these to tests. And so that's why the percentages are low. But I hope that's helpful. I hope that you find this to be something that is a pretty cool feature for customer care, you know, just a monthly thing, maybe a weekly thing for folks. We're going to continually update this and bring new features to it and more customization options. But for now, we tried to make it something that's simple. I recommend doing the contact list part of things on your desktop. But once your contact lists are set up, the newsletter feature works great on mobile. In just a couple of clicks, you can put something together and send that out. So again, think about compartmentalizing your contacts via topic interest if you want to, and so you can have multiple lists going, or just throw them all in one bucket. Either way, you're going to have another resource at your disposal to stay on top of that customer care and staying in front of people and providing that good information and being that authority. So that is the nuts and bolts of newsletter creation. Guy, you have any thoughts or comments or questions?
No, I love the idea. I guess we just have to play with it to see how simple it is. So you are updating us with different articles that we can grab that way. We can go, can we go back along? Like, for example, suddenly I'm not using now, but in 2 months, I'm like, whoa, that article from 2 months ago, I liked it. Is that going to be available?
Yes, we're never taking stuff off the soundboard. So that stuff, you can either search for it by topic, or you can just keep scrolling. Because when you're in the articles list here, you can literally scroll until it'll just keep updating.
Okay.
And just going back and back in time with all of the resources that we put there. So
I think Cheryl asked I think she typed a question.
Let's see. Can you put your newsletter on a Facebook group? So this actually generates it, Cheryl, as an email itself, not as like this big, image or PDF that you could post as a file. It's a true HTML email. So I don't think you can, because you're just trying to send this to individuals in individual email addresses. So it doesn't function the same way that, if you wanted to post an article to a Facebook group, it's using the Soundboard content, but it's not posting it in the same way. I hope that makes sense.
For me, my question, I guess, do you see, as with the group that you already work with, because email, people doing less and less email, but that's why Cheryl was asking that. Is this been really welcome? Do people pay attention to it? 5 years ago, this would be amazing, amazing, amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, with social media, people checking less emails. What do you think? Is that still, I like it, but what's the response so far?
Well, what we've found just across the board and statistically is because there are so many email platforms, there's so many social media platforms now, and people feel so scattered across them that people have returned to email as a source of information that they want. And so, yes, there's certainly a lot of, people who don't take the time to cultivate their email inboxes and have 10,000 emails sitting there. But what we found so far in feedback from the field is people would say, I asked my customers if they wanted to be notified of stuff. I asked them if they wanted to receive something on a monthly basis that's specifically for them, and they said yes, and that it's been a good thing. And so instead of treating it like a blanket kind of, I'm going to send this to all 500 customers, posting on the Facebook group, the customer group, and saying, would you like to receive, information about how to keep your kids healthy this summer, a couple of times across the summer. And when, people get very good responses to that kind of thing, and then they get a really high retention rate. Cheryl, you're asking about texting. So, texting is a feature that's native to the Soundboard that is also independent from the newsletter feature here. And that is just like if you're on the article on your mobile device, one of the buttons down here is going to be texting. And so you can text articles directly to people, but you can't text the whole newsletter. to somebody, if that makes sense. Okie dokie. Well, that is how it works. I hope that everybody finds it beneficial. And as always, if you have any questions, if you're watching the recording of this and have a question at a later point, I am James Ketchum 750 on Voxer. Or you can just email me, james@edgetheory.com, and we'll get everybody taken care of. And Guy, thanks so much for inviting me to present.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much. We'll share that with everybody, and it's going to be great additional tool. So really appreciate it. I can't wait to get it recorded.
Okay, I'll send it to you here in just a few minutes.
Fantastic. Enjoy the rest of your summer. Thanks so much.
Y'all too. Bye-bye.
Ciao.